The memory hit Bella like déjà vu in reverse. Not something she'd forgotten, but something that hadn't happened yet. She was standing in her kitchen, coffee mug halfway to her lips, when suddenly she could taste salt air and feel wind whipping through hair longer than hers had been in years. A man with eyes the color of oxidized copper was laughing at something she'd said, something clever, something she'd never said. The mug slipped from her fingers and shattered against the tile. 3 days. It had only been 3 days since the procedure at Memory Line's flagship clinic in downtown New Austin. 3 days since she'd traded a decade of corporate drudgery for Aurora Chen's adventures. The technician had promised it would feel natural, like recovering memories from a dream. "Your brain will integrate them seamlessly," he'd said, his smile practiced and reassuring. "Within a week, you won't even remember which memories were originally yours." Bella stared at the coffee spreading across her kitchen floor, brown liquid seeping into the grout lines like roots seeking soil. The copper-eyed man was still there, lodged in her temporal lobe like a splinter. She could feel the weight of his hand on her shoulder, warm and familiar. But the timestamp was wrong. The memory was dated 7 months from now. She called in sick to work. Not that anyone would notice. Half her department had been laid off last month, and the survivors were too busy updating their resumes to track anyone's attendance. Her supervisor, Marcus, answered on the 3rd ring with his mouth full of something. "Ramirez, you sound terrible," he said between chews. "Food poisoning," she lied, pressing her palm against her forehead. Another flash. A market in Marrakech, spices burning her nostrils, someone calling her Aurora. No, someone calling her Bella, but she was buying saffron she'd never cook with, speaking French she didn't know. "Take the day," Marcus said. "Reynolds quit this morning anyway." "We're restructuring." Again. The line went dead. Bella's hands were shaking as she pulled up the Memory Line app on her phone. The interface was sleek, minimalist, a timeline of her newly purchased memories arranged like a social media feed. Aurora Chen's face smiled from the header image. Sharp cheekbones, dark eyes, a scar through her left eyebrow that looked deliberate. But when Bella scrolled to the most recent entries, her breath caught. The dates were all wrong. Tomorrow, next week, next year. A memory of herself. No, Aurora. Standing in Times Square on New Year's Eve, 2077. Another of her diving into bioluminescent waters off the coast of New Zealand. Dated March 2078. She called Memory Line. The hold music was designed to be calming, synthesized whale songs mixed with theta waves. After 12 minutes, a customer service representative picked up. Her voice had that artificial brightness that came from reading scripts all day. "Thank you for calling Memory Line, where your past is our—" "I need to speak to someone about a defective memory package," Bella interrupted. "I'd be happy to help you with that." "Can you describe the nature of the defect?" the representative asked in her practiced tone. Bella chose her words carefully. "The memories I purchased are mistimed. They're showing future dates." A pause. The clicking of keys. "I see here you purchased the Aurora Chen Exotic Adventures package 3 days ago. Our records show successful integration. Are you experiencing any physical discomfort? Headaches? Nausea? The memories are from the future." Bella's voice cracked. "They haven't happened yet." Another pause. Longer this time. "Ma'am, that's not possible. All memories in our database are harvested from completed experiences. Perhaps you're misreading the timestamps? Sometimes during integration. Listen to me." Bella was pacing now, her bare feet leaving damp prints on the tile. "I can remember things that won't happen for months, years. I need to speak to a technician, or a supervisor, someone who understands how your extraction process actually works. I'm going to transfer you to our technical support team. Please hold," the representative said. The whale songs returned. Bella closed her eyes, and another memory surfaced. Aurora's memory. Her memory. She couldn't tell anymore. She was in a small apartment in Prague, rain drumming against the windows. A woman with silver hair was teaching her to fold origami cranes. The woman's hands were steady, patient. She was saying something about temporal mechanics, about how memory wasn't linear, how the brain stored time like a spiral, not a line. The memory was dated 18 months from now. When technical support finally answered, it was a different voice, male, tired, possibly human. Ms. Ramirez, I'm pulling up your file now. You're reporting temporal anomalies in your purchased memories? Yes, Bella confirmed. And you're certain these are future-dated, not mislabeled past experiences? I'm certain. She heard him typing, then a sharp intake of breath. I need to put you on hold for a moment. Wait, Bella started. But the whale songs were already back. This time they lasted 23 minutes. When the line reconnected, it wasn't the technician. Ms. Ramirez, this is Dr. Sarah Nguyen, Director of Temporal Integrity at Memory Line. I need you to come to our facility immediately. Don't discuss this with anyone. Don't post about it online. Can you be here within the hour? The voice was authoritative, urgent. Bella's mouth went dry. What's happening to me? I'll explain everything when you arrive. Use the executive entrance on Brazos Street. I'll have security waiting for you, Dr. Nguyen said. The clinic looked different in daylight, less like a spa, more like what it really was, a facility where people went to have pieces of their identity surgically removed and replaced. The executive entrance was unmarked, just a black door between a coffee shop and a vintage clothing store. A security guard with neural interface implants glowing blue beneath his temples led her through corridors that smelled like ozone and antiseptic. Dr. Nguyen was younger than her voice had suggested, maybe 35, with the kind of exhaustion that came from understanding things most people couldn't. Her office was sparse, a desk, 2 chairs, and a wall of monitors displaying brain scans in false color. Sit, she said, not looking up from her tablet. How many future memories have you experienced? Maybe a dozen. They keep coming, Bella replied. Specific or general? Specific. Very specific. I can taste things, feel textures. I know people's names before they introduce themselves. Dr. Nguyen finally looked up. Her eyes were bloodshot. Ms. Ramirez, what I'm about to tell you is covered under our Emergency Protocols NDA, which you agreed to during your initial consultation. Do you understand? Yes. The Aurora Chen memories you purchased, we've been analyzing them for the past hour. There's something unusual about their quantum signature. Their what? Bella asked. Every memory has a unique temporal fingerprint, like DNA but for experiences. The Aurora Chen package. She turned one of the monitors toward Bella. It showed 2 brain scans side by side, neurons firing in identical patterns. These memories aren't from someone named Aurora Chen. Bella's stomach twisted. Then who? They're yours. From your own future timeline, Dr. Nguyen said flatly. The room seemed to tilt. Bella gripped the arms of her chair. That's impossible. It should be. Dr. Nguyen pulled up another screen, columns of data that meant nothing to Bella. But Aurora Chen doesn't exist in any of our databases before your purchase. No social security number, no birth certificate, no digital footprint whatsoever. She materialized the moment you bought her memories. Someone forged them? Bella suggested. No. The memories are real. Every synapse, every neural pathway, they're genuine experiences. But they're experiences you haven't had yet. Somehow, our extraction process created a closed temporal loop. You sold us your future memories without knowing it, and then bought them back under a different name. Bella stood up so fast her chair tipped backward. That's insane. It's happening. Dr. Nguyen's voice was steady, clinical. And it gets worse. We've already sold fragments of the Aurora Chen package to 47 other clients. Pieces of your future are now embedded in dozens of other people's minds. If you don't live out these memories exactly as they're recorded. What? You'll create a paradox. The other clients will have memories of events that never occurred. Their neural pathways will start to degrade. Best case scenario, they lose the purchased memories. Worst case. What's the worst case? Bella demanded. Dr. Nguyen turned back to her monitors. Complete cognitive collapse. Not just for them. For anyone who's interfaced with the corrupted memories, it would spread through the network like a virus. Thousands of people, maybe millions. Bella felt the weight of it settling on her shoulders like a lead blanket. So I have to live out every single memory? Every moment exactly as I've already remembered it? Down to the smallest detail. For how long? 10 years. The full span of the package you purchased, Dr. Nguyen said. Outside, New Austin hummed with its usual chaos. Delivery drones weaving between towers, advertisements shifting on every surface, people hurrying past with their eyes focused on nothing. Bella stood on the sidewalk, trying to process what she'd just learned. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. The coffee shop on 6th Street. 10 minutes. Come alone. She almost deleted it. Then another memory surfaced, sitting in that exact coffee shop, listening to someone explain why she had to trust them. The memory was dated today, this afternoon, right now. The coffee shop was one of those aggressively nostalgic places that charged $12 for a latte and played vinyl records no one under 60 recognized. Bella found herself walking toward a corner booth before consciously deciding to, her feet following a path her brain already knew. A man was waiting there, mid-50s, grey at the temples, wearing a jacket that cost more than her monthly rent. "Isabella Ramirez," he said. Not a question. She slid into the booth. "You're from Memory Line's legal department." His smile was practiced. "Close. Corporate Espionage Prevention, James Chen." The name hit her like cold water. Chen, like Aurora Chen. My daughter. Or she would have been. He signaled the waitress for 2 coffees. Bella already knew he'd order them black, no sugar. The memory was playing out in real time now, present and future colliding. If she'd ever existed. Dr. Nguyen said Aurora was fictional, Bella said. She is, but she's based on someone real. James pulled out a tablet, swiped through files until he found what he was looking for. A photograph. A young woman who looked exactly like the Aurora from Bella's memories, except sadder, worn down. My daughter Lily. She died 3 years ago. Motorcycle accident in Bangkok. The waitress brought their coffees. Bella didn't touch hers. In the memory, she didn't touch it either. Lily was 28, James continued. Brilliant. Restless. She'd spent 5 years traveling, collecting experiences like some people collect stamps. When she died, I couldn't let her go, so I did something stupid. You preserved her memories, Bella said. I stole them, from the morgue's neural backup. It's standard procedure now. They scan everyone who dies, in case of foul play. I had connections. I took Lily's entire neural map and tried to reconstruct her. Bella felt sick. You uploaded your dead daughter's memories to Memory Line? Not directly. I knew they'd trace it back to me. So I created Aurora Chen, a fictional identity built from Lily's experiences, changed enough details to make her untraceable. I was going to buy the memories myself, have some piece of her back, but then you purchased them first. This doesn't explain the temporal loop, Bella said. James leaned forward. Lily was part of an experimental program at UT Austin, quantum consciousness research. They were studying how the brain processes time, whether memory could exist independently of linear experience. She volunteered for dozens of trials. The experiments changed something in her neural structure. Changed how? Her brain could store memories before they happened. Not consciously. She didn't know she was doing it. But her neural tissue would sometimes encode experiences hours or days before she lived them. The researchers called it temporal pre-echo. They shut down the program after she died. Too dangerous, they said. Bella's coffee had gone cold. In her memory of this moment, it was cold too. So, when I bought her memories, you inherited her condition, but amplified. Instead of hours or days, you're seeing years. And because those memories are now distributed across dozens of other clients, he spread his hands, you've become a temporal anchor. If you deviate from the timeline, everyone connected to those memories gets pulled into the paradox. How do you know all this? Bella asked. James's expression darkened. Because I've been tracking the anomalies for months. Other clients have reported glimpses, fragments of futures that shouldn't exist. A stockbroker in Houston who suddenly knew next month's market data. A teacher in Dallas who could predict her students' test scores. They all purchased pieces of the Aurora Chen package. Doctor. Nguyen didn't mention any of this. Memory line doesn't know. They think it's a standard temporal loop. They don't realize the memories are actively rewriting themselves, pulling your future into the present. You're not just remembering what will happen. You're locked into it. Bella stood to leave, then stopped. She knew what came next. In the memory, she asked him a question. She tried to resist, to say something different, but the words came anyway. Why are you telling me this? Because in 6 months, you're going to meet someone. A man with copper-colored eyes and a question-mark scar. His name is David Okoro. He's a temporal physicist who went underground after the UT Austin program was terminated. He knows how to break the loop. Then I just need to find him. No. James grabbed her wrist. His hand was exactly as cold as she remembered it would be. You have to live every moment exactly as it's meant to happen. Every conversation, every decision, every mistake. If you try to skip ahead or change anything, the paradox triggers immediately. So I'm supposed to just perform my life? Like an actor? Like someone whose choices have already been made? He released her hand. The memories you bought aren't just adventures, Ms. Ramirez. They're a prison, and you volunteered for it. She left the coffee shop feeling hollow. The afternoon sun was too bright, making everything look overexposed. Her phone buzzed. Marcus, asking if she'd be in tomorrow. She already knew she would be. The memory told her she'd work for 3 more weeks before quitting to catch a flight to Morocco. Her apartment felt different now, like a set she was supposed to inhabit. She sat on her couch and let the future memories wash over her, trying to map out what was coming. Morocco in 3 weeks. The copper-eyed man, David, in 6 months. Prague in 18 months. The silver-haired woman who would teach her about temporal mechanics while folding paper cranes. But between those highlights were thousands of small moments. Buying groceries, getting caught in rain, conversations with strangers. Each one had to be performed perfectly, or the whole timeline would collapse. Her daughter called while she was making dinner, another moment she'd already remembered. Eleanor's voice was cautious, the way it always was since the divorce. "Mom? I heard about the layoffs at your company. Are you okay?" Bella stirred the pasta she knew would overcook. "I'm fine, Mija. Actually, I'm thinking about making some changes." "Changes?" Elena asked. "Travel. See the world. You know I've always wanted to." Elena was quiet for a moment. In the memory, she was quiet for exactly this long. "Mom, is this about the memory thing? Marcus mentioned you went to one of those clinics." "How did Marcus—" Bella started. "He called me. He's worried. Said you've been acting strange." Bella closed her eyes. This conversation was in the memories too. Every word of it. "I'm not having a midlife crisis, if that's what you're thinking." "I didn't say that," Elena replied. "You were thinking it." "Mom, I need to go. The pasta's burning." It was. Right on schedule. After she hung up, Bella stood in her smoke-filled kitchen and wondered if this was how insanity felt, knowing exactly what would happen but being unable to change it. She dumped the ruined pasta in the sink and ordered takeout from the Thai place 3 blocks away. Pad CU, extra spicy. The delivery driver would be 17 minutes late and apologized twice. She used the waiting time to research temporal mechanics online, hoping to find something that might help her understand what was happening. Most of it was theoretical physics, so dense it might as well have been written in another language. But one phrase kept appearing: chronostatic lock, a hypothetical state where cause and effect became circular, creating an unbreakable sequence of events. The doorbell rang. 17 minutes late. The delivery driver apologized twice. That night, Bella lay in bed experiencing her future in fragments. She saw herself learning to scuba dive in the Philippines, the pressure in her ears exactly as uncomfortable as she'd always imagined. She saw herself crying in a bathroom in Berlin for reasons that wouldn't make sense for another 2 years. She saw herself kissing David on that rooftop in Marrakech, tasting mint tea and dust on his lips. But she also saw the darker moments, arguments with Eleanor that would drive them apart for months. A friend she hadn't met yet dying in a hospital she'd never visited. Her own face in a mirror, aged and exhausted, wondering if any of it had been worth it. Her phone buzzed at 3:47 a.m. Another unknown number, this time just coordinates and a time, 30.2672 degree N, 97.7431 degram W, 6 Motown a.m. She knew those coordinates. The old Mueller Airport district, abandoned since the city built the new spaceport. In her memories, she went there. In her memories, something important happened there. But the memory was hazy, incomplete, like someone had tried to erase it but only partially succeeded. Bella got dressed in the dark, choosing clothes she'd already seen herself wearing. The drive-through pre-dawn New Austin was surreal. Empty streets that would soon fill with people living their own scripted or unscripted lives. She wondered how many of them had bought memories. How many were walking around with pieces of other people's experiences rattling in their heads. The abandoned airport was a monument to obsolete technology. Cracked runways being reclaimed by designer weeds. Hangars that housed homeless camps and illegal raves. She parked where the memory told her to park. Walked where it told her to walk. A woman was waiting in what used to be the control tower. She was young, maybe 25, with the kind of augmented features that suggested serious money. When she smiled, her teeth were too perfect to be natural. Ms. Ramirez. I'm Cynthia. I represent a group of individuals who've been affected by the Aurora Chen anomaly, she said smoothly. The other buyers, Bella said. Some of them, yes. Others are interested parties. People who understand the implications of what memory line has accidentally created. Bella stayed near the stairs, ready to run. What do you want? To offer you a choice. We've been developing a way to extract the future memories without triggering the paradox. You could be free of this burden. Live your life naturally, make your own choices again. Dr. Nguyen said that was impossible, Bella said. Dr. Nguyen doesn't know about the research that's been happening outside the corporate structure. Underground labs, independent researchers, people who've been studying temporal consciousness since before memory line existed. Cynthia pulled out a device that looked like a modified neural interface, all exposed circuitry and blinking lights. This can isolate the future memories and transfer them to a synthetic consciousness, an AI that would live out your timeline for you, making all the choices you're supposed to make while you go back to your normal life. And the other buyers? Bella asked. Their memories would remain intact. The AI would generate the experiences they've purchased, feeding them into the timeline as needed. No paradox. No collapse. It sounded too good to be true. In Bella's experience, that always meant it was. What's the catch? Bella asked, though she already knew she wouldn't accept. The memory of this moment was clear. She left without taking the device. But she needed to hear why. Cynthia's perfect smile faltered slightly. The AI wouldn't just be mimicking your choices. It would need to understand why you make them. Every fear, every desire, every tiny psychological mechanism that drives you. We'd need to copy not just your memories, but your entire consciousness. You want to clone my mind, Bella said. A partial clone. Just enough to maintain the timeline. You'd still be you, but there would be another you out there, living the life you bought from Aurora Chen. Living my life, my future. The future you already sold when you walked into that clinic, Cynthia said. Bella thought about the memories she'd experienced. The adventures, yes, but also the quiet moments. Learning to fold those paper cranes in Prague. The way David's hand would feel in hers. Those weren't just experiences. They were going to be her changes, her growth. Even if they were predetermined, they were still hers. No, she said, and the word felt both chosen and inevitable. Cynthia nodded like she'd expected this. The offer remains open. You have my number now. When the weight of knowing becomes too much, and it will, call me. Bella left the control tower as the sun was rising, painting the abandoned runways gold. She sat in her car for a long time, watching the city wake up through her windshield. Somewhere out there, 47 people were living with fragments of her future in their heads. A businessman was dreaming of a dive she'd take in New Zealand. A teenager was remembering the taste of saffron from a market she'd visit next month. She drove to work, because the memories told her to, sat through a meeting about supply chain optimization, while knowing she'd quit in 3 weeks. Marcus kept shooting her concerned looks across the conference table. She wanted to tell him everything would be fine, that his own job was safe, that he'd meet someone wonderful at a conference in Seattle next year. But she couldn't. That wasn't how it happened. The next 3 weeks passed in a strange, dual consciousness. Bella went through the motions of her daily life while simultaneously experiencing flashes of what was coming. She cleaned out her desk slowly, a few personal items each day. She had lunch with co-workers she'd never see again, listening to them complain about problems that felt impossibly small now. Elena called the night before the flight to Morocco. "Mom, I know what you're doing," Elena said. Bella paused in her packing. "This wasn't in the memories." "What do you mean?" "The memory thing. I researched it. Memory line, Recall Corp, all of them. I know you bought someone else's experiences." "Elena," Bella started. "I'm not judging. I just need to know you're okay. That this isn't some kind of breakdown." Bella sat on her half-packed suitcase. For the first time in weeks, she didn't know what came next. This conversation existed in a blind spot, a gap in the memories. "I'm not okay," she said, surprising herself with the honesty. "But I will be." "How can you know that?" Elena asked. "I just do." Elena was quiet for a long moment. Then, "The person whose memories you bought, were they happy?" Bella thought about Aurora. Who was her? Who was nobody? About the joy and pain waiting in her predetermined future. She was alive. Really, truly alive. "That's not an answer. It's the only one I have," Bella said quietly. After they hung up, Bella finished packing with shaking hands. The gap in the memories had passed. She was back on script. Tomorrow she'd board a plane to Casablanca. In 6 days, she'd be standing in that market in Marrakech, buying saffron she'd never cook with, speaking French that would somehow flow from her mouth like water. The flight was bumpy. The woman next to her spilled wine on Bella's sleeve exactly when the memory said she would. They laughed about it, became temporary friends the way strangers do on long flights. The woman was a pediatric surgeon heading to a conference. She showed Bella pictures of her kids. They were beautiful. In 3 years, one of them would need the kind of surgery their mother specialized in, and she'd save her own daughter's life. Bella wanted to tell her to get the screening done early, but she couldn't. The words wouldn't come. Marrakech was sensory overload. Colors too bright, sounds too loud, smells too intense. But Bella's body moved through it like she'd been there before, because in a way, she had. The memories guided her through the maze of the Medina, past carpet sellers and lamp merchants, to a riad with blue tiles and a fountain that didn't work. The owner, Hassan, greeted her like an old friend he hadn't met yet. "Ms. Aurora, welcome back," he said warmly. She didn't correct him. In the memories, she never corrected him. Her room overlooked a courtyard where cats lounged in geometric patches of sun. She sat on the narrow bed and let the strangeness wash over her. She was here, living Aurora's life, living her own future. The distinction had stopped mattering. On her 4th night, she climbed to the rooftop terrace as the memory instructed. David was already there, sitting at a small table with 2 glasses of mint tea. The question mark scar was exactly where she remembered it would be, just below his left ear. His copper eyes caught the light from the candles someone had left burning. "You're early," he said. "So are you," Bella replied. "I'm always early. Occupational hazard of studying time." She sat across from him. The tea was too sweet, but she drank it anyway because that's what happened. "James Chen said you could help me." "James Chen says a lot of things." David leaned back, studying her. "But he's right about this. I can break the loop. The question is whether you want me to." "Why wouldn't I?" "Because breaking it means losing everything. The adventures, the experiences, the person you're becoming. You'd go back to being Isabella Ramirez, logistics manager. No memories of Morocco. No memories of me. But I'd be free," Bella said. "Free to do what?" Go back to your cubicle, your spreadsheets, the life you paid to escape? His words stung because they were true. She'd walked into that clinic because she couldn't stand her life anymore, and now she was living a better one, even if it wasn't technically hers. The paradox, she started, is stable as long as you follow the script. I've run the calculations 1,000 times. The timeline holds. And if I make one wrong choice, then we fix it. That's what I do, Isabella. I fix temporal anomalies. I've been doing it since the Austin program shut down. Because of your research, she asked. He laughed, but it was bitter. Because of my wife. She was in the same program as Lily Chen. The experiments gave her the same condition. Memories of futures that hadn't happened. But she couldn't handle knowing. The weight of inevitability broke her. She started deliberately trying to change things, to prove she had free will. The paradox she created. He stopped, unable to continue. What happened to her? She exists in 17 different timelines simultaneously. Her consciousness is scattered across parallel realities. Sometimes I can still hear her, echoes bleeding through. She's happy in some of them. That has to be enough. They sat in silence, drinking their too-sweet tea while the call to prayer echoed across the city. Bella already knew how this night would end, with David teaching her the first principles of temporal mechanics, showing her how to recognize the signs of paradox formation. She knew they'd meet again in 2 months in Singapore, that they'd fall into something that wasn't quite love, but was close enough. She knew he'd eventually teach her how to navigate the gaps in her memories, the blind spots where free will might still exist. But knowing and experiencing were different things. When he reached across the table to take her hand, when she felt the calluses on his fingers from years of building impossible machines, it felt like a choice, even if it wasn't. There's something else, David said. Something James doesn't know. The memories aren't just from one timeline. Aurora Chen, your future self, she learned how to slide between parallel realities. Some of these memories are from futures that could be, not just the one that will be. What does that mean? Bella asked. It means you have more freedom than you think. The broad strokes have to happen. You have to be in certain places at certain times, have certain conversations. But the details, the small moments between the big ones, those are still yours to choose. How do I know which is which? You learn. I'll teach you. We have time, he said. 10 years. 10 years of someone else's life that's actually your own. He squeezed her hand gently. I've seen worse paradoxes. Over the following months, Bella learned to live in the space between fate and free will. She visited the places Aurora's memories demanded, dove in those bioluminescent waters, crossed those uncharted deserts, explored those hidden temples. But in the quiet moments, the gaps between memories, she found herself. She learned to paint in Bali, not because the memories told her to, but because she wanted to. She wrote letters to Elena from every city, rebuilding their relationship one postcard at a time. The other buyers occasionally reached out through encrypted channels. They called themselves the inheritors, people living with pieces of her timeline in their heads. Some were grateful for the experiences. Others were terrified. A few, like the stockbroker who'd glimpsed market futures, tried to exploit what they knew. David helped her manage them, teaching her how to send corrections through the memory network when someone strayed too far from the path. In Prague, 18 months into her journey, she met the silver-haired woman from the memory, Dr. Eva Peterson, quantum consciousness researcher, former colleague of David's from the Austin program. She taught Bella about temporal origami, how time folded in on itself, creating patterns that repeated across scales. Every choice creates a fold, Eva explained, demonstrating with paper cranes. Some folds are sharp, irreversible. Others are gentle, allowing the paper to be unfolded and refolded differently. Your memories are like this, creased, but not broken. Can they be unfolded? Bella asked. Perhaps, but would you want them to be? You're living a remarkable life, even if you know how it ends. Do I know how it ends? Eva smiled sadly. The memories you bought were for 10 years. But Aurora Chen lived longer than that. The question is what happens when you reach the end of the purchased memories. Do you become free, or do you discover there are more memories waiting? That night, Bella couldn't sleep. She walked through Prague's empty streets, following paths she didn't remember, making choices that weren't scripted. For a few hours, she felt truly free. Then dawn came, and with it, the next memory she had to live. The years passed in a strange rhythm. Adventure, predetermined but still felt. Quiet moments of unexpected agency. David became her anchor, the one person who understood the weight of living a scripted life. They never used the word love. It wasn't in the memories, but what they had was deep and real, even if its milestones were predetermined. In year 5, Elena joined her in Tokyo. Her daughter had taken a job with an international aid organization, inspired by Bella's travels. They stood together under cherry blossoms that fell exactly when the memories said they would. "Are you happy, Mom?" Elena asked. Bella considered the question. She was living someone else's dreams that were actually her own future. She was free and trapped simultaneously. She was herself and Aurora, and something in between. "I'm present," she said finally. "For the first time in my life, I'm actually present." Year 7 brought unexpected turbulence. Some of the other buyers began experiencing what David called temporal drift. Their purchased memories were shifting, showing different versions of Bella's future. The businessman in Houston called in a panic, saying his memories of her New Zealand dive had changed. Instead of bioluminescent waters, he now remembered her drowning, being pulled from the dark ocean, barely alive. "Parallel timelines are bleeding through," David explained. "The paradox isn't breaking, it's expanding. You're becoming unstable." "What does that mean?" Bella asked. "It means you're approaching a choice point, a moment where multiple timelines converge. The memories can't tell you what happens because even they don't know." The choice point arrived in year 9, in a clinic in Copenhagen. Bella was there for a routine neural scan, checking for damage from carrying so many predetermined memories. The technician was young, enthusiastic, reminded her of herself before the weight of knowing. "Remarkable," the technician said, studying the results. "Your neural pathways show signs of temporal multiplication. You're not just storing one timeline, you're storing dozens, maybe hundreds." "Is that dangerous?" Bella asked. "It's unprecedented. Your brain is becoming a nexus point for parallel realities. Every Aurora Chen who ever existed or could exist is converging in your consciousness." That night, Bella found David on their hotel balcony, building another of his impossible machines. This one was different, organic-looking, like a mechanical flower that bloomed in 4 dimensions. "It's a temporal stabilizer," he explained. "It can lock you into one timeline. Stop the bleeding between realities. You'd lose the other possibilities, but you'd be stable. Safe. And if I don't use it?" Bella asked. "Then you become like my wife, scattered across infinite timelines, existing everywhere and nowhere." Bella held the device, feeling its weight, heavier than metal should be, as if it carried the mass of collapsed possibilities. In some timelines, she was already using it. In others, she'd thrown it into the Copenhagen harbor. In one, David had never built it at all. "I bought 10 years of memories," she said. "I have 1 year left. 1 year before you're free, or 1 year before you fracture completely," David said quietly. She gave him back the device. "Then we have 1 year to find another way." The final year was a kaleidoscope of overlapping experiences. Bella would be in Mumbai, teaching street children to paint, while simultaneously remembering being in São Paulo, learning to dance samba. The other buyers were experiencing it too, their purchased memories fragmenting, showing them multiple versions of her life. Cynthia contacted her again, the woman with the perfect teeth and the offer of escape. "The situation has evolved," she said over encrypted video. "You're becoming something unprecedented, a living temporal anomaly. Some of us want to study you. Others want to contain you. A few think you're the next step in human evolution." "What do you think?" Bella asked. I think you're running out of time to make a choice." With 3 months left in her 10-year journey, Bella returned to New Austin. The city had changed. More towers, fewer humans, memories for sale on every corner. She stood outside the Memory Line clinic where it all started, watching people enter with their ordinary lives and leave with extraordinary memories that weren't theirs. Dr. Nguyen met her in the same sparse office, though she looked older, more exhausted. "We've been monitoring your case," she said. "You've become something we never anticipated. The Aurora Chen memories aren't just from one future. They're from every possible future you could have. When you bought them, you didn't just purchase a timeline. You purchased potential itself. Can you remove them?" Bella asked. "Not anymore. They're too integrated. You and Aurora and all the other possibilities have become quantum entangled. Separation would kill all of you." "Then what do I do?" Dr. Nguyen pulled up a new display. Not brain scans, but something that looked like a constellation map. "You become what you were always meant to become. A temporal navigator. Someone who can consciously choose between timelines, collapsing possibilities into realities. The memories were never a prison. They were training. Training for what? For this moment. The moment when you stop being a passenger in your own life and become the driver. Even if you know all the possible routes," Dr. Nguyen said. With 1 month remaining, David brought Bella back to Marrakech, to the rooftop where they'd first met in this timeline. The city sprawled below them, lights like neurons firing in a vast brain. "I've been thinking about my wife," he said, "about how she fractured across realities. What if that wasn't a breakdown? What if it was an evolution?" "You think she chose it?" Bella asked. "I think she saw what you're seeing now, that consciousness doesn't have to be singular, that we can exist in multiple states simultaneously and still be ourselves." Bella felt the weight of all her possible futures pressing against her skull. In one, she used David's stabilizer and lived out a single, clear timeline. In another, she fractured like his wife, scattered but everywhere. In a third, she found a different path, something between singular and infinite. "The other buyers," she said, "they're connected to me. If I fracture, they fracture too. Unless—" David trailed off. "Unless what?" David pulled out a modified version of his stabilizer. "Unless we invert the process. Instead of locking you into one timeline, we lock them out of all timelines, free them from the memories completely, give them their original lives back." "But I'd still be carrying everything," Bella said. "You'd be carrying every possible version of yourself. The question is whether you're strong enough to hold them all." The final week arrived with the weight of a predetermined ending that had infinite variations. Bella gathered the other buyers, all 47 of them, in an abandoned warehouse in New Austin. They came because the memories compelled them, but also because they needed resolution. The businessman from Houston had aged terribly, his hair gray from the stress of seeing market futures that changed daily. The teenager who'd tasted saffron she'd never buy looked hollow, living experiences that weren't hers. They all carried pieces of Bella's fracturing timeline, and it was destroying them. "I can free you," Bella told them, "but it means giving up the memories, going back to who you were before." "I don't remember who that was," someone said from the crowd. "Then you get to discover it again," Bella replied. David and Eva had modified the stabilizer into something larger, a field generator that could affect everyone simultaneously, but it needed an anchor, someone to hold all the memories while the others were freed. "I'll be the anchor," Bella said. Eleanor was there, standing at the edge of the group. Bella hadn't seen her in the memories, another blind spot where choice lived. "Mom, you don't have to do this," Eleanor said. "I bought these memories, these futures. They're my responsibility. They're killing you." "No," Bella said, understanding finally arriving. "They're making me complete." As David activated the device, Bella felt the memories shifting, consolidating. The 47 buyers gasped as their purchased experiences lifted away like smoke, but instead of dissipating, the memories flowed into Bella, every version of Aurora Chen coming home. She saw herself in infinite variations. The timeline where she became a painter, the one where she never left New Austin, the one where she died in that motorcycle accident in Bangkok because Aurora had always been her, just displaced in time and possibility. She saw the futures where she married David, where she never met him, where they were colleagues, enemies, strangers who passed once on a street in Mumbai. All of them were true. All of them were her. When the process ended, the 47 buyers stood confused but free, their original selves restored. They left one by one, most without saying goodbye, eager to return to lives that were wholly theirs. Elena stayed, holding her mother's hand. "Are you okay?" she asked softly. Bella existed in superposition now, aware of every choice and its alternatives. She could feel herself aging and staying young, traveling and staying still, living and dying, all simultaneously. "I'm everything," she said, and laughed, because it was absurd and true. David ran scans, shaking his head at the results. "You shouldn't be conscious. This level of temporal complexity should have shattered your mind." "It did," Bella replied, her voice harmonizing with itself across timelines. "But it turns out a shattered mind can still think, just differently." In the weeks that followed, Bella learned to navigate her new existence. She could consciously step between timelines, choosing which version of herself to embody moment by moment. She was the logistics manager who never left her cubicle and the adventurer who never stopped moving. She was Aurora Chen and Isabella Ramirez, and 1,000 variations in between. Memoryline tried to study her, to understand what they'd accidentally created. But how do you study someone who exists in multiple states? Every scan showed different results, because she was different each time. "You're the future," Dr. Nguyen told her. "The next step in human consciousness. Soon everyone will want what you have." "No," Bella said, speaking from all her timelines at once. "They'll want what they think I have. But this isn't freedom. It's just a different kind of knowing." She returned to the coffee shop where she'd met James Chen in what felt like another lifetime. He was there, waiting in the same booth, though in some timelines he wasn't there at all. "My daughter," he said. "Lily. Is she—" "She's one of my timelines now," Bella told him. "The Aurora memories were always hers and mine together. She's traveling still, in the realities where she lived." He wept then, and Bella let him, existing simultaneously as the comforter and the stranger who walked past outside. On the first anniversary of buying the memories, Bella stood on a rooftop in Marrakech that existed in 17 different configurations. David was there in 12 of them. In 5, she was alone. "Any regrets?" he asked in the timelines where he asked, "How can I regret anything when I'm living everything?" She thought about the woman who'd walked into that clinic a lifetime ago, desperate to escape her ordinary life. That woman still existed in one timeline, had never gone to Memoryline, had found a different kind of peace in accepting her ordinary life. Bella could visit her sometimes, slip into that simpler existence, but she always came back to the center, to the self that held all selves. The city lights below looked like neurons, like memories, like possibilities. Somewhere in New Austin, people were buying and selling experiences, trading away pieces of themselves for the chance to be someone else. They didn't understand that everyone was already everyone else, separated only by the illusion of singular existence. Bella had bought 10 years of someone else's memories and discovered they were all her own. Every adventure, every quiet moment, every choice and its absence. She'd paid to escape her life, and instead became all possible lives. In the timeline where this story needs an ending, she jumped from the rooftop and learned to fly. In another, she walked down the stairs and disappeared into the crowd. In a third, she became the memories themselves, spreading through the network, touching every mind that had ever bought or sold an experience. In the timeline you're reading, she's still there, standing on that rooftop, existing in superposition, finally free not because she escaped her future, but because she became it. All of it, every possible version of it, She wanted adventure. She got infinity. And somewhere, in a clinic in New Austin, another bored office worker is signing consent forms, ready to trade their memories for something better, not knowing they're about to discover that every memory, past, future, or never was, has always been theirs. The cycle continues. The paradox holds. Everything happens exactly as it must, and exactly as it might, and exactly as it never will, forever.